Welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. This case is a difficult one, and I'm not even getting to the part where it's difficult to cover the case because unfortunately it is not being streamed. There's no cameras allowed in the courtroom, and we are relying upon the reporters, journalists, those folks that are inside of the courthouse in that courtroom and their notes, basically. And as someone who really, I hate to say the word enjoys because trials, not like it's not like a sporting event or like a concert, but I really do like watching, a court trial, especially when it comes to a case that I have followed from the start, from the get go, and the case against Karmelo Anthony in the fatal stabbing from last year of Austin Metcalf at that track meet stabbing. This is a case that I was really hoping would be, if not streamed, would be, delayed on video, something concrete that we could actually sit here and watch the opening statements, watch the witnesses, at least listen to them. But unfortunately, the judge in this case has put serious restrictions on this courtroom, and the gag order, which I thought was going to be lifted as the trial started, is still in place. That said, the news organizations have done some really great coverage of it, and I'm going to do my best to kind of get through what has been happening since jury selection. And yes, there's a lot of controversy on the whole jury selection, how there are no black folks that were chosen on the jury, which, yes, the defense did have an argument to that, but according to the prosecution, the state stated that they were dismissed, not it was not due to racial prejudice at all. It had to do with the fact that they are educators, they're teachers. They did not want them in the jury. That does not mean that the jury is full of white people. There's apparently an Asian in there, as well as some other cultures that are being represented. Can that cause a problem later on when it comes to appeals? Well, I suppose it could. But I don't know too much about that. I'm not a legal expert, as you guys know, but I have to tell you, I was surprised at who made up of, who the jury was made up of once they finished selecting that jury last Wednesday. So again, they did select a jury last Wednesday. So opening statements did begin on Thursday, as we suspected that they would. For those trying to play catch up, which if you're watching this video, you probably know what this case is about. But there was a track meet at Kendall Stadium back in April of 2025. A confrontation between Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf and potentially his brother under the Metcalf's school team tent happened during, there was inclement weather, so a lot of the kids were gathered under tents. Apparently Carmelo's high school did not have a tent at that particular track meet, and it all ended with Austin Metcalf being fatally stabbed in the chest and Karmelo Anthony being arrested for that stabbing and claiming the stabbing was due to self-defense. So Karmelo does not dispute that he stabbed Austin. He just is arguing the reason that the stabbing occurred. And then, of course, the case has drawn national attention, massive. We talked about that in the last video. Uh, so many protests happening. Families were threatened. The judge was threatened. All sorts of doxing and all kinds of craziness. And there's still craziness happening outside of the courthouse within so many feet that they are allowed to be, as the judge has centered a certain area, that if you're not able to attend the court trial, or if you're not at the courthouse on some sort of business, you're not allowed there, basically, at this point. And Karmelo is being charged as an adult. He's facing a possible sentence ranging from 5 years to life in prison if he is found guilty. So again, Judge John Roach Jr., that is the judge on this case, he banned cameras, live streams, and audio recording inside of the courtroom. I think that any judge, and it's not personal on Judge Roach, it's not personal to him. I think that it should not be allowed, any courtroom, to have even at least audio recordings to be banned. I think that there's such a thing as transparency, and especially in a national case such as this. And like I said, he designated a security perimeter around parts of the courthouse because of the demonstrators and the media, and the gag order. That's still in place. So that's where we stand as opening statements did begin. They began on Thursday. So this is WFAA. I am going to go through some of their notes and such. They did a very good job on this. And the trial did go through yesterday. As I record this is Sunday. So they did do a Saturday court. And as we stand right now, the state's rested. So it's up for the defense. The ball's now in their court. But here is everything starting on day 3. And this is WFAA.com. I will link to them in the information of this video in case you want to take a look at their coverage on your own. So they were stating the opening statements were set to begin at 9 a.m. That Austin Metcalf's parents, Jeff and Megan, they're at their courtroom, as well as Karmelo Anthony's parents, Andrew Anthony and Kayla Hayes. There's a sketch artist, Pat Lopez, in the front row, and they stated there were more than 200 people waiting to get inside of the courtroom. And those 200 people were waiting for 27 seats. That's crazy, guys. 27 seats. So this is not a big courtroom, and you're talking, you got the family and such that need to be in there. And so I'm pretty sure the public filled up the courtroom. You got everybody in there. It states the courtroom was nearly full. Let's see, Collin County Sheriff also was present, as well as the prosecution and defense team. And it looks like those who were able to get in, they're issued lanyards, and that any member of the public who leaves, they should drop off their lanyard so that the next person waiting in line can get a spot. So I suppose if you showed up and you decided for whatever reason you didn't want to stay for the entire day, well, I guess you could give it up to somebody else if they decided they wanted to wait it out. I don't know what the weather's like in Texas, but I know it's been really hot here in Florida, so I'm sure it wasn't exactly pleasant outside. So then we're going to go to 9 a.m. It states prosecutors have made several pretrial motions for the judge to consider. The defense has not objected. Looks like everyone in the courtroom rose as the jury entered. They had 20 minutes for opening statements. First Assistant District Attorney Bill Wyski began for the prosecution. He plunged a knife into his heart and ran away. This is in the opening statement for the state. They were telling jurors this as they were describing what he says Anthony did to Austin Metcalf, that day at the track, calling the killing an unjustified provoked murder. This case is not self defense, he states. This was simply senseless. He continues telling the jurors that they would see surveillance video and that the video tells the story. He references words witnesses claim Anthony said before Metcalf was stabbed: "Touch me, see what happens." And I know we've all heard that from the beginning. He continues that Anthony provoked and goaded Metcalf into touching him. This is an unprovoked, unjustified murder. He tells the jury this killing is senseless. At one point, Worski points to Anthony, who at the time was a student at Fresco Centennial High School, attending a track meet at Metcalf's Fresco Memorial High School, and he states this man made a beeline for the memorial tent. Several memorial athletes told Anthony to leave. The tent, he said, was their locker room. So they're describing that these tents, while they're outside over these bleachers, that it's sort of like their locker room. And a lot of the coaches and the witnesses, they seem to back that up. He states that Anthony goaded and taunted and provoked Austin Metcalf. He continues that Anthony produced a knife and swiftly plunged it into Austin Metcalf. He then said Anthony ran off and tried to blend in. The prosecutor told jurors that students at the track meet pointed out Anthony as he is trying to leave the track meet. Now remember, the other side is stating that he ran off just to get out of the area and he ran to another coach. So again, we're going to have slightly different versions of certain things. The prosecutor told jurors that when an officer who arrived on the scene encountered Anthony, he radioed, "I have the alleged suspect." Worski said the officer reported that Anthony then told him, "I am not alleged. I did it." Anthony also allegedly told the officer, quote, "He touched me first and I told him not to," unquote. According to the state attorney, he told the jurors that he tossed the knife and tried to slip away from the scene. He told the jurors also that they will see video from the scene and that they will hear from witnesses. "You cannot provoke someone and produce a knife and take a life," Worski said. So that's the state's opening statement. And this is in descending order, so we kind of have to go back up here. All right. Then we've got the defense, 9:30. And this is the defense attorney, Mike Howard. He's doing the opening statement for Anthony's side. "There's been a lot of noise around this case," he told the jury. "A lot of completely false information." Referring to Anthony by his nickname, Mello, he described his client as a son. He's a brother, the oldest of four. He's a friend, boyfriend, a student who graduated with a 3.7 GPA while holding 2 jobs, playing football, track. Howard told jurors that Anthony's father works as a finance manager with a car dealership and that his mother is a nurse. They are from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They wanted their family to have a better life. That's why they came to DFW middle of the freshman year. Howard told the jury they came to Fresco for that better life. Howard described what happened on April 2nd, 2025 at the Fresco Stadium. Every team at the track meet had a tent except Anthony's school Centennial, which only had a tarp. "Mello is in a normal mood. He's relaxing with his teammates," Howard told the jury. And I do have one question for you guys, or one statement I thought of, and I always think about this when they state that Anthony Karmelo, that he had 2 jobs. I'm not debating that he didn't have 2 jobs, but he's a high school kid, 17 at the time. He's going to school. He's participating in sports, obviously, at least football and track and field. How does a 17-year-old have two jobs? Unless he's just rotating jobs, I don't know. But I mean, I had a job in high school, but I didn't have two jobs. So I don't know. That always just stood out to me. It's just a question that I had. All right, then we go to 10 a.m. Once the opening statements are over, then they are going to have the first witnesses come up for the state. The notes indicate that there are between 8 and 10 teenagers in the courtroom, and the rest are adults. There are 4 rows of seats in the gallery. The media is in the fourth and back row. Pat Lopez, the sketch artist, is in the first row. WFAA's Rebecca Lopez is in the second row, and the Metcalf and Anthony families are in the second row, but in opposite sides of the courtroom. So that kind of helps give a little bit of a visual, if you can visualize the courtroom a bit. Prosecutors called their first witness, who is Mark Porter, a forensic video analyst with the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office. And then Prosecutor Dewey Mitchell is the one that is going to be questioning him. Witness Mark Porter, he testifies about his analysis of the surveillance video from the track meet where Metcalf died. There were 5 different videos. Prosecutors showed the first video to the jurors in the courtroom. It's a wide shot of the football stadium with only half of the field visible. It's difficult to see, and Porter said he worked on magnification to help the state review the video. One still images appears to show Anthony handcuffed and walking with 2 officers. So yeah, from what I understand, the video itself it is still difficult to see, but they point out, obviously, Anthony, and they're going to point out Metcalf to the jury and such to make sure that they know who they're looking at. Let's see. They have some other notes here about outside of the courtroom. Then they showed the jurors the zoomed in video from the stadium from the day of the stabbing last April. It shows the yellow Memorial High School tent and the figures underneath the tent. Mitchell and witness Mark Porter take jurors frame by frame, showing Metcalf enter the tent at 9:54 a.m. A few minutes later into the video, Porter testifies that it appears one person pushes another, but it's unclear who is shown. Someone can then be seen running down the bleachers. In another video from another camera, Metcalf and his twin brother are walking to the stadium. Jeff Metcalf, their father, has his head down, and he's not watching this. Their mother, though, appears to be watching. I cannot imagine, even if this is not the greatest quality, these are the last moments of their son's life. So I mean, I think it's not only difficult, but part of you would not want to see it, and then part of you would be wanting to see it, I think. So, I think it just depends upon the person about how much you can handle. Another video is then shown to jurors, appearing to show an individual getting handcuffed by an officer, someone shown dropping to their knees, and what appears to be staff running in and out of the frame, directing people with their hands. And then they called a lunch break at that point. Looks like they are back in court at 1 p.m. Prosecutors continue to go over the surveillance videos with their expert for the jury. None of the videos we've seen today show the altercation or the stabbing. The images in the video are not clear because they have to be magnified to see them. Also, it was raining that day back in April of 2025, and there are people walking and holding umbrellas as they cross a tent at the bottom of the bleachers. Prosecutor Dewey Mitchell appears to be trying to establish how much time elapses from the time Austin Metcalf and his twin brother enter the stadium and reach their team's tent until the altercation. So you got these videos, but they're not really completely, they're not the best evidence, but they're also something. And I would think something is better than nothing, right? I mean, you got something. But I can imagine it's probably grainy, blurry, that's raining. 1:30 p.m. Prosecution witness Mark Porter testified that after the altercation, he believes it is Karmelo Anthony seen running or perhaps jogging away from the tent. There are two individuals behind what is believed to be Anthony pointing in his direction. Anthony appears to be moving toward the entrance of the stadium. Jurors appeared to be intently watching the videos. Half of the courtroom could not even see the TV screen facing the jurors. There's only one video screen and it's facing the jurors. People on the left side of the courtroom can see the video play out. The video continues to spotlight Anthony's movements away from the memorial tent to the entrance, where he's then met by officers and escorted out. Once Anthony is arrested and escorted out, the video shows students in uniforms running, some casually walking, and exiting the stadium. All right, 2 p.m. Prosecutor Dewey Mitchell ends his examination of the forensic video witness by saying 15 minutes elapsed from the time Austin Metcalf and his twin brother walk into the stadium and to the time that Anthony is led away under arrest. So that's important. 15 minutes. It was a 15-minute window from the time that Austin and his brother, they walked into that stadium until Karmelo Anthony was arrested. 15 minutes. That was the end of Austin's life. These things happen quick. They sure seem to, that's for sure. Defense attorney Toby Shook cross-examines Mark Porter. Shook gets Porter to admit that the video doesn't definitively show when the argument between Anthony and Metcalf begins or it ends. Well, hey, I mean, it's, like I said, it's probably fuzzy. It's surveillance footage. We've all seen surveillance footage. And it's not always very good. Porter testifies that there appears to be some shoving on the video. Porter said it's possible the person being pushed may have been sitting down. Porter states that it appears to be a shove, and when asked by Shook, could it have been a punch? Porter answers, that's a possibility. Porter testified that he cannot tell with certainty whether what is shown is a shove or a punch. After the incident, the video appears to show Anthony walking on the track. He's met by a coach who has his arms over him in what looks like some sort of embrace. It appears Anthony is squatting on the track and grabbing his head. Shook appears to be trying to make the point that Anthony did not run away from the scene and hide like the state said he did. So again, the fact that the stabbing occurred is not going to be, it's not debated by either side. There's certain things like that he ran away. You know, the state says he ran away, and then defense is stating that no, he didn't run away. He just left the bleachers and he was over in another area. 2:30 p.m. The prosecution's next witness is Robert Starr. He's the head coach for Memorial High School. He's also the strength and conditioning coach for the football team. He coached Austin Metcalf and his brother, both linebackers for Memorial. As prosecutor Bill Werski shows jurors pictures of the Metcalf brothers, their mother wipes her eyes. Coach Starr told jurors about the importance of these teams' tents at track meets. He said they are meant specifically for students of the school. Again, that this is not for other kids to come into, and seems like that comes up a number of times. The prosecutor asks, do they have a policy on bringing weapons? Witness replies, weapons are not allowed in any shape, form, or fashion. So again, why did Karmelo Anthony think it was okay for him to have a knife in his bag? Because if you think about it, whether, or not the shoving, punching situation happened, this argument, if there wasn't a knife, it would have been pushing, shoving, punching. It would have been it. But no, a knife came out of a bag. So we have 3 p.m., and these are some notes from senior crime and justice reporter Rebecca Lopez from the morning's proceedings. So she's got a little bit different notes, obviously. She states that Karmelo Anthony's family and friends, they formed a circle, held hands, and prayed. More than 100 people waited to get a seat inside the courtroom, but there were only 27 open spots. Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis sat on the front row. The prosecutor's opening statement included, "We are here because this young man, Karmelo Anthony, decided to take a knife to a high school track meet." Well, I mean, that's true. "This case has nothing to do with race and it has nothing to do with self defense," he continued. He also told the jury that Austin Metcalf shoved Anthony, so he launched a sneak attack. He said Anthony goaded Austin when he was asked to leave. "You have to make me." Worski said that Austin had only been in the stadium about 6 minutes when he was stabbed to death. 2 minutes after Austin goes to the tent, Anthony enters the picture. Metcalf told Anthony to leave. Anthony said, "Touch me again and see what happens." Metcalf took the bait and Anthony swiftly and suddenly stabbed him. Coaches stopped Anthony, who told them, he touched me," as if somehow that fact justifies this act. As if somehow that justifies murder. Defense attorney Mike Howard told jurors in his opening statement that they should believe less than half of what you see. "There is a lot of completely false information." Well, there's two sides to every story. And that's what the jury has to decipher. The truth from all this. He said Anthony, trying to get out of the ring, goes under the other team's tent because he sees someone he knows and goes to talk to him. He doesn't slip in like some thief of the night, he continues, who added that there were about 10 to 15 students under the tent. He said Metcalf and his brother confront Anthony and tell him to leave. "As long as you don't touch me, we're cool," Howard said his client told the boys. He said Anthony was seated and Austin was being aggressive. All right, now we're up at 4 p.m. Jobin Paniker continues his account of the prosecution's second witness, track coach Robert Starr. Starr testified that kids have to sign a code of conduct that includes a prohibition on bringing weapons to a school event. He said kids bringing weapons may happen in some inner city districts. He said Memorial was hosting the track meet, and then he asked several of his upperclassmen to be leaders on that day. He said he sent a text to Austin Metcalf to step up and be a leader that day. He said there was no official rain delay during the district meet. The coach testified that when he went over to check on the commotion at his team's tent, "I see Austin on the ground and his face is purple, and there's a big hole in his chest." "Coach, do something," the coach said Hunter Metcalf told him. He said students pointed to Anthony as he was walking to the track. The coach said he approached Anthony. He was walking very calmly, and I asked him, "What the hell did you do?" He said Anthony responded, "He put his hands on me." The coach told jurors he threw his hat and put his hands in the air as he was overcome by frustration and emotion. "4:30 p.m. The next witness for the state is Tiffany Whittaker, Memorial High School's athletic trainer. She told jurors the track tent is like a locker room. The visiting team does not go to the home team, which she called an unwritten rule in track culture. She was working the district meet at Cundall Stadium in Frisco on April 2nd. That's a typo, obviously. It should be 2025. She said there was a lot of confusion on that day because of the rain. Some athletes were on the field, some were on the bus, some were under the tent. At one point, she said she heard screaming. She said a student pointed out Anthony as the person involved. She said she told another coach that Anthony stabbed someone and to get in front of him to prevent him from walking further. Whittaker could testify that she tended to Austin Metcalf, performing CPR until paramedics arrived. "I'm in an autopilot. You just keep going until help arrives," she told the jurors. She said she was not hopeful when she saw the wound. And 5 p.m. The state's next witness is Coach Vincent Hooper, track and football coach at Heritage High School. Asked about track culture and use of the tent, he said, "You want your kids in your camp." He said after the stabbing, another coach asked him to hold Anthony, so he said he put his arms around him and asked, "What did you do?" Coach Hooper said Anthony answered, "He put his hands on me. I stabbed him." Coach Hooper told Anthony that this could change his entire life if Metcalf died. Hooper testified that Anthony told him he's not going to die. Metcalf's mother, who's in the courtroom, began crying. Hooper described Metcalf after he had been stabbed. He was pale white and there was a puddle of blood. Defense lawyer Toby Shook asked Hooper whether he agreed that Anthony genuinely felt upset about the incident. Hooper said that he did. "5:30 p.m. The state's next witness is Joshua Redmond, Liberty High School football coach. He was helping at the track meet that day. His school, he said, had two tents up, one for the boys and one for the girls. Coach Redmond said he was about 20 feet from the memorial tent and didn't see or hear anything before he saw kids panicking and scattering. Kids were running down the aluminum bleachers, he told jurors. He went over and found Austin Metcalf with his back to the fence, holding his abdomen. Coach Redmond, who told jurors he had military combat experience, said he took off his jacket and put pressure on the wound and yelled for someone to call 911. Coach Redmond said he had to push Metcalf's brother off of him so he could put pressure on the wound. Coach Redmond described watching Austin Metcalf die as he and others tried to stop the bleeding and perform CPR. Metcalf's parents cried as they listened to the coach describe their son's last breaths. Prosecutors played the 911 recording for jurors. "I need paramedics right away. I have an athlete that was stabbed." In the background are a confusion of voices, yelling, crying. "Stay with me, Austin. Stay with me, Austin. Stay with me, Austin," a male voice says on the emergency recording. Several people in the courtroom audience cried as they listened to the call, grabbing and using tissues. Karmelo Anthony has his head down. Prosecutor Bill Werski shows jurors the jacket that Coach Redmond used to stop Austin Metcalf's bleeding. Werski put on gloves, opens an evidence bag, and pulled the jacket out. It appeared to have blood on it. "How much blood is there externally on Austin Metcalf?" Werski asked. "Quite a bit," the coach told jurors. He testified that he did everything he could to save the young man's life. On cross-examination, defense lawyer Toby Shook asked the witness if he was aware that Centennial did not have a tent at the track meet that day. He said he was not. And 6 p.m. was when they ended the day 3 testimony. So let's go through day 4. Day 4 it was a game changer for sure. So this is going to be Friday. This is all Friday's testimony. So here's a photo here of the scene before the court on Friday as people were lining up to get a seat inside. So you can see the barriers and look at all those folks up there. Remember, they only had 27 seats on the first day for the public. 27 seats and hundreds were showing up. So 9:30 a.m. is the first update from their reporters here. The state's next witness is Eduardo Cortez, a Frisco PD school resource officer and former U.S. Marine. He was assigned to Staley Middle School just south of Cocundle Stadium when he got a stabbing call over the radio. He told jurors he ran from the middle school to the stadium where he saw the crowd around the Memorial High School tent. He said he saw Karmelo Anthony on the other side of a fence, and they walked along the fence together. He said Anthony was cooperative. He told jurors he handcuffed Anthony and radioed, "I have the alleged suspect detained." Cortez testified that Anthony then said, "I am not alleged. I did it." Cortez said Anthony told him without being prompted. "He put his hands on me. I told him not to." When he placed Anthony in a police car, Anthony asked if Austin Metcalf was okay. Cortez testified. He also said there was blood on Anthony's middle finger. Jurors are now being shown a surveillance camera video of the arrest. Cortez is shown walking down a steep grassy hill. The video shows Cortez begin to run around the stadium toward the memorial tent. A student points out Anthony. Cortez and Anthony meet with the fence between them, and then Cortez puts handcuffs on him and pats him down for weapons. Cortez says it's no secret that weapons are not allowed at the stadium. Cortez agrees with prosecutor Bill Warski when asked if bringing in a weapon is unprecedented and never encountered. Jurors in the audience are shown Cortez's body camera video. The 4-minute clip shows Cortez with Anthony, whose back is to the officer. Anthony has his hands up over his head. The body cam shows them walking along the fence and Anthony being handcuffed. Cortez seats Anthony on the ground and brings him to a police car. As Anthony's being walked to the car, the video depicts him crying and saying, "He put his hands on me." About 30 seconds later, Anthony is heard answering questions about his name in school and is not sobbing. On another officer's body camera video, Anthony's heard on the video saying, "I am not alleged. I did it." "10:30 a.m. The next witness is Jacob Slaz, another Frisco PD school resource officer. He described the rain on April 2nd, 2025, the day of the stabbing, as heavy to intermittent. He helped secure the crime scene and collect evidence at the stadium that day. "We were looking for a knife," he told the jury. He said a school administrator spotted the knife, which was 3 to 4 rows from the crime tape. He testified that he also found Anthony's blue Centennial High School backpack. Jurors were shown pictures of the Memorial High School tent and Anthony's blue backpack 8 to 9 rows up. They were then shown a picture of what's described as a folding knife. It is shown sitting on the bleachers, partially open. It has a black blade and gray handle. Prosecutor Bill Rusky pulled the knife out of an evidence box and removed the backpack from an evidence bag. Both are entered into evidence. Rusky gives Schultz what is described as an exact replica of the knife so that he can demonstrate to the jury how the knife's action works. The blade, which has a thumb stud, opens quickly. The knife has a linear lock mechanism. The prosecution is playing the body cam of the officer, Jacob Slaz. It shows attempts to save Austin Metcalf's life. In the background, you can hear kids crying, oh my God, that is my best friend. That's my brother." The video shows Joshua Redmond, Liberty High School football coach who testified yesterday, performing chest compressions on Metcalf. In the courtroom, Metcalf's mother is crying and his father has his head down. Neither is watching the video. On the body-worn camera footage, we can still hear kids in the background crying while Officer Slats attempts to secure the scene and search for a knife and backpack. Metcalf's full body is visible. On the video, someone yells out, "I found it," in reference to the knife. When the video ends, the courtroom is silent. Another reporter, Rebecca Lopez, said she saw a juror crying as the judge calls for a recess. Okay, 12 p.m. on cross-examination, defense attorney Mike Howard confirms with Officer Slets that the knife is a multi-tool. Okay. 12:30, Stephanie Martin, a criminalist with Frisco Police, takes the stand. She was called out to the crime scene at 10:43 a.m. on April 2nd, 2025. She collected the pocket knife, clothing, and backpack. She told the jury. She testified that the blade is 3.5 inches long. Inside Karmelo Anthony's backpack were snacks, a hair pick, a phone cord, keys, and a cross necklace. Jurors are shown pictures of Anthony's gray sweatshirt with a small red stain. On cross-examination, defense attorney Mike Howard notes that this client also has 3 pieces of paper with word finder puzzles, a vocabulary assignment, Cheez-Its, and car keys. You know, the only thing that shouldn't have been there was the knife. Why? Why did you have to bring the knife? I mean, I guess we're never going to know unless he tells us, right? All right, then we're jumping to 1 p.m. The state calls its first young witness. The judges asked that none of the youths who testified be identified. So these are obviously some of the high school kids. The witness, 17, was a track athlete at Memorial High School. It was pouring down rain at first, he told the jury, and that's why the boys' team returned to the tent. He said he saw Anthony and another Memorial student dap up and greet each other. The witness said he told Anthony to leave the tent. He also remembers Austin Metcalf telling Anthony to leave. The witness heard Anthony say, touch me and find out. The witness testified Anthony was asked to leave the tent about 15 times. He said no one tried to mob up on him, and the witness said there was minor pushing for a couple of minutes. He told jurors that Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony were both angry and aggressive. Well, guys, they can be like that. They're at a sporting event, so that doesn't surprise me. I don't think the pushing and the shoving was a problem. It was the weapon. The witness told jurors that he thought it was a bluff that Anthony had something in his backpack. At some point, the witness said Austin leans in to push him and Karmelo stabs him. The witness asked to describe the push, and he said it was not a light shove or a hard shove. It was in between, the witness said. Hunter Metcalf was at the bottom of the tent and not really involved, he said, adding that not many people were involved in the altercation. The witness said Anthony stabbed Metcalf, who fell onto the bleachers on his back. He said Metcalf lifted up his own shirt and said, "Oh my God." The witness said Anthony was outside the tent during the altercation. Prosecutor Bill Whiskey asked the witness, question, did Austin deserve to get stabbed? Answer, no, sir. Question, was Austin Metcalf the aggressor? Answer, no, sir. On cross-examination, defense attorney Toby Shook questioned the witness if Anthony and a friend were outside of the Memorial High School tent. What is wrong with that? The witness said because of the proximity to the tent. The witness said Anthony was getting upset after he was told to leave. He said the back and forth only lasted 2 minutes and reiterated that both Anthony and Metcalf were aggressive. The witness said when Anthony had his hand in his backpack and said, "Touch me and find out," that was a threat. The witness recalled Austin Metcalf telling Karmelo Anthony, "We're in Frisco. You don't have anything in there." The witness said Metcalf pushed Anthony with 2 hands by his shoulders. "I did not see an object. I saw a motion," the witness said. Shook asked the witness to recreate the stabbing. A chair is pushed to the middle of the courtroom. The witness stands in for Metcalf for the demonstration. Shook played Anthony, who is sitting in a chair in the courtroom. The witness from a standing position leans in to push Shook, who is seated. The witness tells jurors that while Metcalf is leaned in toward Anthony during the push is when the stabbing happens. 1:30 p.m. The state calls another young witness, an 18-year-old man who graduated from Memorial. He was competing in the track meet. He told jurors that he thought it was suspicious that Anthony was near their tent. K.A. came out of nowhere. He did not recall any conversations between Anthony and his friend who was in the Memorial High School track tent. The witness said when Austin Metcalf told Karmelo Anthony to leave the tent, Anthony wasn't going to budge. This witness, like the last one, also recalled Metcalf telling Anthony, "You don't have anything in that backpack. It's Frisco." Anthony's back was to the witness, so the witness said he did not see the stabbing. "It was so quick, I didn't know what happened," he told jurors. He also said Hunter Metcalf, Austin's twin brother, was never a part of the heated exchange. Prosecutor asked the witness, "Did it look like Anthony wanted to pick a fight?" Answer, yes. Question, did it look like Austin Metcalf wanted to pick a fight? Answer, no. The witness told jurors that the top of Anthony's backpack was open and Anthony had his right hand in there. "Does this look like a self-defense to you?" he asked. "No, sir." Question, did Karmelo Anthony provoke Austin Metcalf? Answer, yes, sir. On cross-examination, defense attorney Mike Howard asked the witness if it was raining hard that day. Howard approaches the witness with a transcript of the statement he had given. In it, the witness said Anthony had told a joke. The witness testified that Metcalf's push on Anthony was a lineman move, an inward and upward motion. Testimony returned after an afternoon break at 3:30. The state called its next witness, a 16-year-old who ran track for Memorial High School last year. The witness said Anthony walked up and sat in our tent, and I was questioning, why is he at our tent? Anthony said a few words to his friend, then described the altercation and the stabbing. The witness said Metcalf and Anthony were frustrated and that it escalated. The witness said Metcalf lightly pushed or nudged Anthony. That differs from the last witness who said it was a two-handed push. This witness said Hunter Metcalf was right next to his brother Austin, which is contrary to what other witness testimony that Hunter was close to the bottom of the tent and not part of the scene. This witness said Anthony walked, then jogged, then ran after the stabbing. He was calm, the witness said, but also he was trying to get away. The witness said he helped point him out to the Heritage coaches. On cross-examination by defense attorney Toby Shook, the witness said Anthony was one row above Austin Metcalf, that Anthony was sitting when he was pushed, and that Anthony was not knocked off balance. 4 p.m. The state's next witness is a 17-year-old who said his sister also witnessed the stabbing. He told jurors Hunter Metcalf was several bleacher steps behind his brother Austin. Each young witness has not been very consistent as to where everyone was located at the tent. The witness said Austin Metcalf gave Anthony a one-handed push. Well, yeah, I guess they are not consistent, but it does seem like what they are consistent on is that there was a push and shove going on, and that Anthony didn't want to leave for whatever reason. 4:30 p.m. The fifth young witness of the day went to Liberty High School and heard the commotion in the Memorial High School tent. The witness recalled hearing Karmelo Anthony saying, "If you want me to move, you're going to have to move me." The witness did not see Anthony. Prosecutor asked the witness, who is a black woman, if this was about race, and she said it is not. In an earlier statement to authorities, the witness said Anthony said he wanted to beat Austin Metcalf in a race. The witness told jurors she may not have heard that, and then it may have been more of a rumor. The sixth young witness took the stand for the prosecution. He too was at the track meet in 2025 and recalled that Anthony said, "Touch me and see what happens." The witness said he saw Anthony with his hand in his backpack. The witness said he felt Anthony might be holding something because he saw the veins on Anthony's hand while in his backpack. The witness said Metcalf pushed Anthony with two hands but called it a touch. He said it is something similar to a lineman move. On cross-examination, defense attorney Mike Howard is trying to assert where everyone is under the tent, as witnesses have not been consistent. Howard also asked the witness about Metcalf's push of Anthony. This witness characterized it as a grab. So again, they're trying to get, between the state and the defense, obviously, they were trying to get these kids to be a little more clear on some things, but these were high school kids. I mean, I think the basis of what they were stating was pretty consistent, but again, it's going to be, I think things are going to be a little bit different, but they all stated, some of the same stuff. They all stated that Anthony said basically, make me move, or see what happens if you touch me again. So again, there's going to be some things that are consistent and some things that are going to be way different. But this is some of the testimony that I know really, really hurts Karmelo for sure, because, he's saying self-defense, and none of these witnesses that testified on June 5th, which was Friday, none of them, despite some inconsistencies with whether Hunter was near his brother or not, none of them are stating that this looked like a self-defense situation. None of them. And this is Saturday morning, which is considered day 5, but day 3 of actual testimony. And this is actually the day that the state rested. So they rested yesterday. Looks like 9:30. Prosecutors, they called a 7th young witness. Obviously, they're not going to be identified because these are all kids. At least they were at the time. The witness is from Memorial High School. He was at the April 2nd track meet at the stadium in Frisco. The witness told jurors he knows not to bring weapons to a track meet. He was under the tent at the time of the incident. He testified that it threw me off to see Karmelo Anthony in the memorial tent, referencing a demonstrative exhibit showing the tent in relation to the bleachers. He said that Anthony arrived at the top right side of the tent. The witness said Austin Metcalf was asking Karmelo to leave the tent, and that Anthony was provoking Metcalf. The witness said Austin Metcalf put his hands on Anthony's shoulders. At some point, the witness told jurors he heard yelling, "He stabbed me." You don't expect someone to get stabbed at a track meet, the witness told the jury. The witness said he and another girl ran from the scene and that he was scared, worried that Anthony may stab someone else. He said that Hunter Metcalf was sitting right next to his twin brother, Austin Metcalf. He said Hunter went to help his brother after he fell back from being stabbed. The prosecutor asked him if he thought the stabbing was self-defense. No, the witness replied. Why? It's lethal force against non-lethal force, the witness replied. On cross-examination, defense lawyer Toby Shook, the witness told jurors that Anthony and his friend knew from Memorial High School, who he was at the tent, did not say much to each other, maybe 3 words total. After the incident, students who migrated to a school bus passed the phone around and were looking at Anthony's Instagram page. The witness told the jury. He said the Metcalf brothers were right next to each other under the tent, which is counter to other witness testimony. They were in different parts of the tent. He's the only second one. This is the only second witness to say that the brothers were near each other. Last year, in an interview with the police, the witness characterized Austin Metcalf putting his hands on Karmelo Anthony as a warning. Shook tried to get the witness to say he was intimidating him. The witness did not agree with that characterization. Well, at least these kids are sticking with their story. What they saw, they're sticking with it. Let's see. 10 a.m. The next young witness, the 8th of the trial, 16-year-old football player from Memorial. The witness said he considered Austin Metcalf to be a big brother. He said he and the Metcalf twins and a couple other athletes are the ones who put up the tent. We told him, Karmelo Anthony, to leave, the witness said, including the Metcalf twins and another student. The witness recalled Anthony said, touch me and see what happens. Every young witness has been consistent that the verbal altercation lasted 4 to 6 minutes. Austin Metcalf tried to force him out of the tent. Anthony, the witness stated. After Metcalf put his hands on him, that's when he gets stabbed, the witness said. He characterized it as a little shove by Metcalf. I think it might have been a little more than that, but either way, it doesn't matter if he shoved him a little bit further. You don't stab somebody. You just don't do that. I thought he was bluffing after seeing Anthony with his hand in the backpack, the witness said. He told the jury that he did not see the stabbing. He called it a one-on-one confrontation between Austin and Karmelo. The prosecutor asked each young witness the same few questions at the very end. Was Anthony provoking and the aggressor, and this was self-defense? This young witness said Anthony committed murder. Toby Shook on cross-examination questioned the witness on where all these kids were on the bleachers. Only a small number of students saw the actual stabbing. Asked about Metcalf's push of Anthony, the witness said it was to his shoulder area with both hands. So yeah, it's probably not just a little push, but again, that does not make it okay to pull out a weapon and stab him. 10:30. The next young witness, the 9th of the trial so far, is a 16-year-old from Memorial High School. He was at the track meet that day and testified that he heard Anthony say, I'm a nobody, when asked by the students under the tent who he is and why he's under the memorial tent. The witness told the jury, Anthony said, I'm not leaving, F y'all. And y'all a bunch of peas. Y'all not going to do nothing about it, when he was asked to leave. The witness told jurors that Anthony had his backpack on. He takes it off and places it on his lap, and Anthony puts his hand in the backpack. That's when the stabbing occurs. It took a second to process, the witness said. He said Austin Metcalf was calm. Austin didn't deserve what happened, the witness said. Prosecutor, it was murder what happened, right? Witness, yes, sir. On cross-examination, defense lawyer Toby Shook asked the witness about the conversation Karmelo Anthony had with his friend that he knew from Memorial, who he saw at the tent. The witness said it was friendly. Shook asked the witness why he didn't mention the curse words he just testified that Anthony used when he gave a statement to the police last year. Would other students have heard this? The young man said he doesn't recall. So it could be, he didn't use those words. I don't think it really matters. They're all saying the same thing, that he was just defiant. He wouldn't leave the tent. 11 a.m. The next young witness is a recent graduate from Memorial High School. This witness is notable because he is the memorial student that Karmelo Anthony, who went to Centennial High School, knew and went to greet at the memorial tent at the track meet last year. This witness is also close to the Metcalf twins. So this is a very important witness. The witness said he knows Anthony because he was the ex-boyfriend of a family friend. He said he is not a friend of Anthony and that he does not know him very well. The witness said he did not tell Anthony to leave the tent and they did not talk long. The witness said Austin Metcalf asked why Karmelo Anthony was at the memorial tent. The witness recalled Anthony saying, "You're not going to move me, you're a bitch." The witness told jurors Austin was defending us. Regarding the backpack, this witness said Anthony had it between his legs. This is the first witness so far to say the bag was not on his lap. The witness said he saw the stabbing and says he did see the stabbing. He said Austin Metcalf gave Anthony a soft shove and said both Metcalf brothers said they didn't believe Anthony had anything in the backpack. The witness said he saw the stabbing and saw Austin fall back. He starts screaming for help, the witness said, and begins crying on the witness stand. The prosecutor offered him tissues. The witness said he saw the stabbing and saw Austin Metcalf fall back. He starts screaming for help, the witness said. And this witness began crying on the witness stand. Prosecutor offered him tissues. The witness wipes his eyes and continues his account. The witness said before the stabbing, during the verbal argument, he took out his phone and thought it was funny and pretended to record it. There was no recording, he testified. He said after the stabbing, he saw Anthony run away from the memorial tent. This witness testified that he regrets jokingly saying, "Yeah," when a friend asked him if he thought Karmelo Anthony might have something in his bag. He said he also regrets pretending to film the altercation in the stands. The witness said he does not think the stabbing by Anthony was in self-defense. Prosecutor asks, "Whose fault is it?" The witness replies, "I don't know." On cross-examination with Toby Shook, the witness says Austin Metcalf was like a brother. The witness also said he was close with Anthony's ex-girlfriend. He said they were considered cousins, but not by blood. The witness testified that out of the blue and unprovoked, Anthony said, "Y'all are ass," in reference to Memorial's football team. And of course, Austin Metcalf played football for Memorial. The witness said he was always about 2 spaces from Anthony. They had dabbed up soon after Anthony made that comment about the football team. And it looks like after this witness, they went to lunch. All right, back from lunch, 1 p.m. Defense attorney Toby Shook continues his cross-examination of the same witness we had on the stand before the lunch break. This was the kid that he was talking to in the tent, in the Memorial High School tent. Shook is questioning the witness on how well he really knew Anthony. This morning, the witness said he didn't know Anthony that well. Shook shows a series of photos of the two together. A photo of the witness and Karmelo Anthony at Anthony's ex-girlfriend's mother's 50th birthday party. A photo shows the two of them sitting next to each other smiling. Another photo shows about 15 people before an outside basketball game, including the witness and Anthony. In a 3-week period, they met 3 times, testimony shows. Shook shows the witness and the jury pictures of Anthony and his girlfriend at the time, who was like a cousin to this witness. The pictures are of Halloween, birthday parties, etc. "Are you still telling this jury you don't know Karmelo very well?" Toby asks the young witness. Answer: "We were cool with each other." Shook pressed the witness on how well he knew Anthony, whom he said had dabbed up under the tent that fateful morning before the stabbing. Shook asked the witness why he didn't intervene and mentioned he knew Anthony and that he wasn't a stranger. The witness told jurors he felt like he didn't need to and was talking with other people at the time. The witness said Austin Metcalf was seated at first. Then the witness said he and Austin called each other a bitch. Shook asked the witness why he faked taking a video. "I was being dumb," he said. Shook asked that if he had actually been recording, we'd know what actually happened. Shook and the witness are demonstrating the push in the middle of the courtroom. The witness said he only saw Austin Metcalf push Karmelo Anthony with one hand. It was a small shove, the witness said. Yeah, that's too bad he really didn't hit record, honestly. "1:30, the next witness is a 16-year-old linebacker from Memorial High School. That day he had headphones on and he was listening to music. He said he told Karmelo Anthony to get out of the tent. He recalled Anthony saying, 'Touch me and see what happens.' He He said that statement by Anthony was directed at Austin Metcalf. He said Anthony challenged Metcalf to a fist fight, and Metcalf said, "I'm not going to fight at a track meet." The witness told jurors he ran after the commotion because he was scared Anthony still had the knife. Coaches were holding Hunter Metcalf back while his brother was bleeding. It's really sounding like it was a little bit of a push and shove, but Austin didn't want any part of anything. He just wanted to do his track thing and go. It's not looking good for Karmelo. At this point, anyway. 2 p.m. The state's next witness is Collin County Medical Examiner Dr. Elizabeth Ventura. The Metcalf parents have left the courtroom. So this is when they left the courtroom because they were going to go through all the medical autopsy and such. I don't blame them. Dr. Ventura did the autopsy on Austin Metcalf. She told the jury that the stab wound was on the left side of his chest. It perforated his sternum and right ventricle. The knife wound was 2 inches deep, she said, as she shows the jurors autopsy photos, but they're not shown to the rest of the courtroom. See, being a juror is tough because you got to actually see this stuff, whether you want to or not. One juror has her hands on her mouth, another takes a quick glance and looks away. The official cause of death is homicide, stab wound to the chest. On cross-examination, defense attorney Toby Shook questions Dr. Ventura on whether she can tell from the wound path whether Metcalf was standing, leaning in, or if the defendant was leaning back. There are multiple possibilities, she told jurors. On redirect, prosecutor Bill asks her about defensive wounds. Dr. Ventura said she did not see defensive wounds on Austin Metcalf. I don't think that there was time for that. I think it was a stab and it was done. I think that was pretty much it. Looks like the state actually rested its case Saturday at around 3 p.m. It says, breaking news, the state rested its case. This is when the defense moved for a directed verdict. They argued that the state hadn't met its burden to prove every element of the crime charged. The state disagreed, and Judge John Roach denies the defense motion. I think that there is plenty of evidence. The defense, of course, they got to try anything to get, to get their side of things. But it's not looking good for Karmelo. It's really not. And I'm going to leave this video right there with the state's side of the case. So what do you guys think? Just with the state's side. Obviously, we had opening statements, cross-examination. Again, I wish we had actual video or at least audio of this trial. Really does make it a bit more difficult to follow. It sounds to me like the witnesses were very, very compelling. And I think that especially the high school kids. I mean, they all had the basis that it was a little bit of a push and shove, but that Karmelo, he was the instigator. He refused to leave the tent. He refused to leave. And because of that, Austin put his hands on him. Yes, he put his hands on him. And then Karmelo pulled out a knife and stabbed him. To me, that's not self-defense. That's not self-defense. But let me know what you guys think in the comments so far. And we'll go through the defense's side. But remember, they said it was going to be like a 2-week trial. I think it's going to be over pretty quick here. I think this week it's going to be done. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.